Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone around the world. This is Wraithkind, back with another Forgotten Realms D&D episode with the Protectors. And what better way to celebrate surviving near certain death at the hands of some very nasty trolls and rediscovering Emeraldi's mother, or finding Emeraldi's mother, then with some downtime and a shopping trip. Let's join the Protectors in this episode as they explore Eartheart a little bit and perhaps get in a little mischievous trouble.
Nice vegetables, a good for early morning, get you going.
Wait. Emeraldi, what is that?
That's right. Get him a bowl, too. Don't worry, it's got meat in it, but it does have veggies.
Also, I still want that leg of lamb, too, please. Thank you.
Dwarf's breakfast slop, okay. What else?
Make that 2 ales as well.
She nods.
I like your style.
What about you, laddie? What do you want? She turns to you, Velis.
Well, I think I would like to have a nice pile of bacon and some fried potatoes and some milk. I think my mouth is still burning.
Milk. You might have to go to a different bar.
She kind of looks at you questioningly, and then she just kind of shrugs and then she walks off. About 5 minutes later, she returns. Like him, she just slaps a leg of lamb right in front of you. Not even on a wooden plate or anything. Just kind of slaps it down on the table. She puts down a couple ales in front of you, and she kind of Velis, you hear her kind of snicker as she puts down this stein of frothing milk in front of you. Emeraldi, you get this bowl, very hearty bowl, and you're looking at it and you smell this kind of this barley aroma, this barley broth, and you see a bunch of steamed vegetables in there and a few bits of meat. And then she kind of walks off.
Emeraldi pours a part of his ale into his stew and stirs it. Now this is a little bit of ale in your brew. Emeraldi starts eating like he's never eaten before.
After a moment, she returns.
Everyone's getting splashed on.
After a moment, the waitress returns and she kind of sheepishly looks at Velis and puts his food down there as well, and then leaves again.
Around this time, you guys hear a commotion upstairs.
A commotion?
Uh-huh. It sounds like a beetle-shaped commotion. You hear sounds of excitement.
I look over at Emerald and like, oh no.
The door slams closed, and you hear little gnome feet right down, like, I did it! You guys check this out! Ah! And she slides down the banister.
As she does.
Lands in the table, right in front of you guys, and she's like, holds out this leather bag. She's like, put something in here. Put anything in here. Not that. She looks at Emeraldi's breakfast.
I then reach over the leg of lamb. I drop the leg of lamb in.
It completely disappears. And I'm like, do you see your leg of lamb?
What is that? Where did it go? Would Lycum know what this is, by chance?
Make an Arcana check.
Ooh, that's not good. Oh, not bad.
Yeah, you actually would know this to be a bag of holding.
Oh, look at you, Beetle. Did you make that?
Uh-huh. Here.
Oh.
I hand it to you. Think about the leg of lamb and reach in the bag.
As I do, I start to drool down the side, and I have to wipe it off as I grab the leg of lamb back out and start to eat on it. Well done, Beetle. Well done.
I did it. We have
I look at Beetle and go, how much stuff can we put in there?
Almost 20 knees.
Oh my Goodness.
So
Sorry.
exciting.
I grabbed the bag and tried to put it over her head.
Oh.
No. Get off! No, you're gonna break it. You're gonna suffocate me. Don't ever put anything alive in these things. That's bad.
Oh, but you said we could put 20 of you in there.
Oh, no. I mean, wait, math-wise. If you actually put something that needs to breathe in there, it will die. Like, actually, we could keep Bert in it, come to think of it. He doesn't have to breathe.
Okay, that's better. Remember, Bell's wisdom is 8.
Well, Beetle, what an accomplishment, I guess. Could I...
Says Emeraldi around mouthfuls of soup.
It's going to be so great, because I don't know if you guys have noticed how slow I've been moving lately, but basically all my stuff was in the wagon, and now all my stuff is in my backpack, but soon all my stuff will be in this bag.
Wait, it's not there already? What have you been doing?
I was finishing the bag. I just wanted to come show you guys. Okay, bye! And she grabs it. She runs back upstairs.
Wait, don't forget breakfast.
And for the next 30 minutes, as Beetle transfers a scary amount of things from her backpack to her bag of holding. Ben, are you still upstairs?
Well, I'm downstairs in a regular room, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But just as a reminder.
And Emerald grabs his bowl and tries to go to Banner's room.
All right.
Bangs on the door.
So, Banner, you hear a kick at the door.
Nothing happens. Yet.
Emeraldi really kicks the door.
Matter of fact, Emeraldi, make an athletics check.
All right.
So in his exuberance,
why you had him roll.
In his exuberance, he just really kicks the door, and you see this crack kind of start at the bottom of the door and go about halfway up the door. You hear another voice from the other side of the door in the common room. Hey, laddie, be careful with that, why don't you?
At this point, all of a sudden the door swings open, and you see Banner, holding, papers in his hand and a book in a hand, and he looks very much too scholarly for Banner. And there's just his bag is spread out all over the floor, and he looks a little. He's not like you left him last night at all. Because last night, if you remember, he was very dejected and not talking to anyone about what happened in the woods, and now he looks frantic and as though he's been basically rummaging through things and is very energetic. And as he just whips open the door like the guy in Princess Bride, what? But and he's like, what is it?
It's breakfast. Did you sleep? Were you out chasing some of the ladies last night?
No, Emeraldi, I was not.
Well, that's good, because if you started chasing them, likely they'd get their friends and they start chasing you. You don't want to be chased by a group of dwarf women. It does not end well.
Yes, I'm sure they're like a flock of birds. Anyway.
No, more like a flock of badgers.
As you can see, I'm very busy.
Busy with what? You can't eat with your friends?
It's... All right, come in here. And he pulls Emeraldi in the door.
Ah!
He spills a little soup as he tries to balance his soup.
Emeraldi puts his soup on an end table and sits on his bed with dripping soup. Okay. Well, what's going on?
Look, I don't know how to say this. This is important because I know you just got here and you just found your mother, so perhaps I should tell you first. But, well,
You want to be a dancer instead of a warrior. I completely understand. Humans often make funny choices like that.
Banner?
Emeraldy cracks a smile. Okay, I'm ready to listen.
This is interesting. You're in very good spirits, Emeraldy. I think this was very good for you. This makes me happy. I'm glad, and I feel I am in good spirits somewhat too, although much more cautiously, perhaps. I don't know how to say this, but I think I need to go. I have been summoned. Talia spoke to me last night, like the last time, only she made the connection. I know it was there. And she said I need to go to the Yearwood, that the way is open.
Wasn't that place with the flames or something you talked about in the past?
The councilwoman told us about that there were flames there, or that fires were ever burning there, and not to let them touch you. But she also said that might be where a way is open.
Okay. So, what's the difficulty in saying all that?
I don't understand. Well, I don't really understand what's going on anymore. She told me. Perhaps I should tell this to everyone because it's going to be a lot. But I don't think I understand the situation now.
Well, look. If you didn't sleep well and you haven't had breakfast, that'll clear your mind, and then you can tell the story once to everybody, and you won't have to repeat it. I'll just eat more food while you're retelling the story. But I support you. Once we get my mother taken care of here, she's going to take over the clan and get my uncle around, and I'm sure they'll figure out a way how to deal with my cousin. But I do need to attend my mother, so perhaps we should meet with everybody and you tell them what happened.
Yes.
But staying in here, being a bookworm, isn't going to get you anywhere. You're going to lose muscle mass, and then you're going to be really sad.
I like our relationship, Emeraldy. It's simple.
It is. So you swing your pole arm, and I swing my axe, and that's about as complicated as it needs to be.
Yes, perhaps Beetle might actually have a better idea of this than I do. I don't even know. But that sounds good, and I just...
Have you ever had giraffe?
I actually have not.
It's a delicacy here. Let's get you a plate of it for breakfast, and it'll be an excellent starting point.
All right. I just want you to know that whatever happens, I know that I stood beside you, but I would understand if you need to stay here longer than I can stay here.
Well, there are some questions that do need to be prayed and answered about. But first off, let's use something more to eat. I'm eating this soup here, but let's get you fed, and then you can tell everyone what happened.
So you all troop back out. Banner and Emeraldy troop back out to the common room. About the same time, you see Dawn kind of coming down the steps to the common room of the inn. Dawn, you see everyone except for Beetle. Though as you're passing Beetle's door, you hear some muted exclamation and some clanging sound and movement inside her door. Actually, you guys are staying in the same room. My apologies.
Yeah, we usually stay in the same room.
So you actually were awoken by a very excited Beetle as she screamed and left the room saying, I got it, I got it, I got it. And then briefly after that, say about a minute or two after that, she comes storming back in and just starts pulling everything out of her pack and putting it into this interesting looking new bag with the smiley face.
Will someone
The
bring me
bag has
up
a
to
smiley
speed on
face?
what's been happening?
Nothing.
That's literally it.
That's
No,
they're having breakfast downstairs.
I don't even know where we are. What are we doing?
Oh, okay.
Where? What?
We-
What?
I can.
How did we get here, and why are we here?
Oh,
Okay,
Right
so
back.
we basically picked up in the morning after Banner's dream. Everybody else was having breakfast. Beetle and Banner were still in their rooms, and I guess Dawn was too, sleeping.
Banner had a dream. I missed the last 30 or
Oh,
45
right,
minutes.
I forgot about that. Basically, when Banner went to sleep because he didn't sleep much because of what happened to him, but
I heard something about the Feywild.
basically Talia spoke to him this time and summoned him to the Feywild, told him it was time and the way was open at the Earwood. Also important, well, Banner can tell you the rest probably because he's going to RP that at some point.
Okay, so where are we right now?
We are in the inn. We just all woke up. Everyone
In
was eating.
the material plane, not in the Feywild?
Yes.
Okay.
you guys.
No,
Well, the way
Wait, I'm
the
sorry.
way it was explained to me, I thought the party was like warped to the Feywild. or
No,
something.
no,
I was
no,
like-
no. Okay,
You-
I apologize. We went. This was at the inn in Eartheart. We went to bed, and Banner fell asleep. And Talia
Okay.
basically said, "It's time for you to come." In that sense, she summoned him.
Okay,
And-
okay.
And everyone else, basically, we woke up in Eartheart like normal. People were eating breakfast. Beetle came running down with a bag of holding she made apparently during the night, and Banner just woke. Emeraldi
Summoned being used as a prerogative and not like an arcane
Yes.
magical
Yeah.
spell. Okay. That solved some of the confusion I had in the previous week. I was like, man, that was a big jump. We were all of a sudden there, and now we're in the Feywild. I get it now. I understand.
Okay. So, but I think just got woken up, and and Banner just rejoined everyone because of
Yeah.
Emeraldi.
I probably won't be able to stay for the whole time, but I'm feeling a bit better, so I wanted to drop in for a little while.
Well, hopefully Beetle will be back very quickly. Unless you just want to go ahead and leave the room and go down to the common room where everybody else is, except for Beetle.
I'll stay with Beetle for now, but we can come back to this whenever Julia gets back.
Well, so Banner sits down. Banner leaves all his paperwork and goes out and grabs a giraffe leg, I guess, since that's a thing Emeraldi said that was there, and I start gnawing on it.
You get a kind of an odd look, and then the dwarf behind the bar just kind of shrugs and comes back, and it is a very long, like it's about as long as a bat, like a baseball bat. It's you get nice lean meat, and it's cut off at one of the leg joints. You're not sure which one, but
It's like a polearm that I get to eat.
And as you start to do that, you see him clean up his leg of lamb that you just finished. And he looks over. Hey, you need help with that? as he tosses the bone onto the table.
And one final quick question. What happened with Emeraldi's cousin?
He ran away.
He ran away. Okay.
Yeah, he
He
got
had,
away.
he had Longstrider, and we lost him.
Didn't you guys find out like some backstory of why he did what he did?
Oh, well, basically, his mother was lost to trolls too, but nobody went after her. It's sort of his beef. Plus, Emeraldi
Oh, okay.
went north.
Ironically, the same trolls that he made the deal with, who had Emeraldi's mom, and Emeraldi's mom said that they ate the last bits of what's his name's mom, like months ago. So she was alive, and he could have rescued her if he had just not made a deal with them.
Well, he might not have been able to rescue her, but he made the wrong deal.
Right, but he did something stupid.
So you're in the room with Dawn, if you care. The rest of us are eating breakfast now.
Okay, yeah, Dawn, I'm like throwing an alarming amount of stuff out of my backpack. You're like, how did you carry all that? You're like this big.
I stretch a little bit, shake my head and look over at all the stuff. I just look over for a couple seconds and finally, Beetle, what are you doing?
This is so cool. Put something in the bag. Anything.
I go over and look into the bag. I just look into it.
You see nothing. You've seen me stuffing all of this crap in there, and you see nothing. It doesn't even look big enough to fit some of the stuff I've been shoving into it.
I pick it up. I shake it a little bit.
It feels like an empty bag. Like it might have something in it. Like it feels like it's like 4 pounds.
What is this?
I made it. It's a bag of holding. It's for holding all my crap.
I turned upside down.
Do you actually summon all the stuff out of it?
Shake it a little bit.
Nothing happens.
Does anything
unless
happen?
you-
I reach
unless-
into it, and I try and turn it inside out.
No! I stop her. I slap it out of her hand. And I'm like, don't ever do that.
And thus there was a hole torn in time space, and the Forgotten Realms were eaten.
My hand
I saw your
actually
hand
went for the
twitching
dice.
If you turn a bag of holding inside out, does it turn into an enormous bag that can only hold a tiny amount of material? That'd be funny.
Ask the plane. I was like, don't do that. Don't ever do that. And don't ever put any other interdimensional type thing in here. That would be very bad for us. And I would be very angry with you, and you would owe me a new bag of holding.
I don't really know what you're talking about, but I'll stop messing with it. I hand it back to her.
I kind of take it back protectively and think to myself, I will not be handing this to Dawn anytime soon. And I finished putting all my crap in it.
All right. Having so finished, are you going to join the rest of the group in the common room?
Yeah.
Yep, I'll come
Alright.
down.
So you both together come down. You see a disheveled-looking Banner
Got bags
eating
under his
a
eyes.
huge leg of something. You see everyone else is pretty much either in the middle or end of eating their breakfast as you guys come down. And apparently nobody says anything as you all kind of look at each other.
Everyone's
across the
eating.
room.
It was a long day yesterday. We almost died, many of us.
Beetle just orders a simple breakfast and just starts like shoveling it in her mouth, like, and she's got her sketchbook out and she's just drawing furiously. She's like pretty psyched right now.
All right.
I sit over across from Velis.
Banner hasn't
And
seen Beetle. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sit over across from Velis, and I just look at him until he notices that I'm looking at him.
It takes you about maybe a minute and a half of just dead-eye staring at him.
My hood's up, too. Just eyes under the hood. Just glowing elven eyes.
Velis,
Is this Clavis you're looking
you
at?
get
Or
this. Velis, you
This is
get this
Velis.
creepy like feeling of someone's watching me, and your eyes kind of lift from your food, and you see the dead-eye gaze of Dawn.
When he looks up, I lean forward a little bit and I say, Velis, I just
I
want
am
to say...
very handsome. I understand. It's hard to not look at me.
I ignore him and continue. I just wanted to say,
Like him just grunts under his breath.
yesterday when you risked a lot to keep me alive yesterday. You ran across the battlefield with a potion in your hand to save me, and, well, thank you. That was very brave.
Well, you are very welcome. I would do it again if I had to. Hopefully I don't ever have to.
I hope so too, but I feel like our track record has been getting worse.
Well, it does appear to be that adventuring is just a tad bit more dangerous than I had originally anticipated. But it's so very thrilling.
Yes, well, I found magic to be more dangerous than I ever anticipated, although that only seems to be for me. I'm not sure why.
I find that your use of magic is quite dangerous. But,
And yet, awesome.
I haven't seen Beetle yet, so Banner sort of looks up and is like, she's like sort of bouncing around as she's just sitting there almost, I assume. And he's like, so what is up with you?
I'm so happy because we're alive and I made a magic thing and we're alive. And then she just bursts into tears because she has not processed what happened yesterday at all until right now. And she was frantically working on the bag and sleeping and frantically working on the bag and sleeping and just threw herself into that. And then she just starts sobbing, like loses it. Like, we almost died.
As Beetle has a mental breakdown. Don, were you done with your conversation?
Sure. I was going to say something else, but it would interrupt the flow to do it now. I'll say it later.
Okay.
She basically throws herself on, if Banner and Dawn are next to each other, like on the two of them, and just starts sobbing. Or pretty much on Dawn, because Dawn's the one who... Or Emeraldy. Should we roll to see who she's closest to?
Or yourself.
Just choose.
Alright. She throws herself on Dawn.
I just kind of awkwardly pat the top of her head while talking to Velis.
I keep talking to Velis, actually. It's perfect.
Wow.
I mean, Velis, just this morning, speaking of magic and its various applications, I almost lit Beetle's bed on fire when a shower of sparks unexpectedly flew out of my arm.
Velis was playing this. Velis is trying to cheer up.
What phone is that?
Mine. That's what Velis is playing to try to cheer up.
Man, these tavern bards have gotten better and better.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's a reason to be happy for us all to be alive.
I'm happy.
Banner, you were going to say something?
Where is your mother, Emerald? Is she still in bed?
Yes, I was working to finish my meal here, and I was going to check on her. Emerald grabs one of the big corners of the tablecloth and rubs his face, trying to get as much of the soup off of it, among other things. It turns to you. How does it look? Do I look almost presentable?
Banner picks a big chunk of meat out of his beard, flicks it across the room, and it sticks to the wall. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that would have been awful in a couple days. Emeraldy trudges off. Well, since you already told me what you told me in the room, I don't have to hear it again.
All right, and as Emeraldy takes off towards the upstairs where the larger suites are and his mother's suite is, during all this process, all this conversation, you all, like him especially, you've noticed that a number of young Dwarven boys and girls, like 4 or 5 of them, have been coming and going through the common room and going up the stairs and then coming back down, and almost every one of them carrying little scrolls of what you can only assume to be messages, as you know, messengers go to and from the upstairs area. And Emeraldy, you take off towards the upstairs, leaving the rest of you all at the table. And I'll return to you in a little bit, Emeraldy.
So what's going on, Banner?
Banner has started eating again, and he's like, bleh. Well, I think Emeraldy still needs to hear some of this, but this is kind of a lot already. And at this point, you guys notice that Banner's, like, everything that, like, it's weird to you that sort of his temperament from last night is, like, completely vanished. Like, that no longer seems to be on his mind at all. And he continues, well, Emeraldi came to my room and, you know, he just got his mother back, so I wanted to tell him this right away, too. But, well, last night I got a message from Talia, and she's not doing any better, to be honest, and that's very troubling, but she told me that it's the time for me to come to the Feywild and that the way is open in the Yearwood. Apparently, I don't know why this is... She's never been much for riddles with me before. We've always been straightforward with one another, but apparently the time was not right before or something. I don't really understand that.
Feywild, it sounds fabulous.
Well, except for the part where the woman Banner Love is imprisoned by a bad guy.
That is true. Go ahead.
Maybe we can do something about that, though, right?
Yeah, that part is not... I mean, part of me's... My spirits are somewhat lifted because I know I can get there now. Like, I've been wandering for so long and felt so helpless. I felt so hopeless, like I could do nothing for her, and now I have the chance. But I could... There's something you have to understand. I was her. I was in her, like, form.
Okay.
Jealous.
You might be telling us a little bit more than we actually need to know, I thought, for a moment.
Beetle made the exact same face that Velas did.
All right. It was a poor choice of words. You have to understand, it wasn't like last time where I saw her in the room. She drew me into her consciousness. I felt what she felt. I could feel her strength, and it wasn't there. I could feel her wounds. I could feel everything. I was in her body, and she spoke, and I could hear through her ears. That's how she got me the message.
How badly wounded was she?
I know that she could barely maintain the message. I know that all of her strength right now is going to me.
Hey.
Banner, just like I've been there for Beetle and Emeraldi, as we've been going through all sorts of fun. I'm here for you as well. The only question I have, though, is: are we ready for this? You know better than most that the Feywild is far more dangerous than it is here.
To be honest, I mean, I've said before that it is a fun place, but I've never been in the wildest parts of it, and I know that is much more dangerous, and I don't know where we'll be spit out, but I trust Talia to know.
And if we're spit out into the wildest parts of it, Banner, I'm there with you.
Yeah, we'll get it figured out as long as we're together.
I just... I'm glad I have each and every one of you to go with me. I don't know if I'm up for this. I honestly don't know if that's the worst. There's more. I don't think I understand the situation anymore. She told me to warn the Empress that House Cathis is after her. That doesn't even make sense. Anwell has Talia. He's not part of that house. That house doesn't exist anymore. It's from those weird books Velas got me. It's an ancient house that was banished.
Well, the way I see it is we get there, we travel to the Feywild, we travel to Talia, and anyone who stands in between you and her and tries to stop us from getting there, we kill.
Don will jump on their back and ride them.
Don will fear them, I'll stab them, we'll call it a day.
And lightning bolt them to the back of the head.
Once we reach
We'll feed 'em
Talia,
to like
I'm
'em.
sure she'll be able to tell us what's really going
It's
on.
weird for me that you guys are the ones saying this to me. The thing
Yes,
is,
well,
I
a lot
feel
has
like
happened
this.
in the past few months.
Yes, and I feel like this problem cannot be solved by my usual means, or that is my fear. It is
Well,
a
it's a start.
Well,
We have to
your
get you to
usual.
Talia before we can do anything else.
Yeah.
yes.
So-
Well,
One step
that's
at a
enough for
time.
now. I just want before we. I guess the point is before anything, we have to be ready. We should be well prepared, and we need to rest here, and we need to make sure everything that we have all that we need, which hopefully will give Emeraldi the time that he needs.
Yeah, so we resupply here. We figure out what's going on with Emeraldi's mom and his clan, and we head out as soon as we can.
Now, where is this place that we will be traveling to?
The Yearwood. It's
Yes.
the same as what Councilwoman Velas suggested, which I believe
near
is north of here.
It's near here, isn't it? Just east, I think.
Well, that's convenient.
Um,
It's about time something broke our way.
So you would. Emeraldi would know. Banner, you would also know, I suppose. Yearwood is a good distance away, much closer than ever before, but still a good distance away, as it's actually to the north and east. Let me see if I can get you all there.
I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a goodly distance away from Eartheart, but essentially you would be taking the road north, and then around the Alamber Sea, or you could take a ship across, kind of a
Oh.
ferry. Well, not a ferry, but a ship.
I thought it was closer than that.
Well, it's probably the closest we've been to anything recently,
That's true.
but not. Maybe we can teleport partway again. Anyway, well, we can talk more about this later. There's no point now.
Okay.
Maybe we should. I guess we'll hang out here until Emeraldi tells us what to do.
Are you okay, Banner? It's a lot.
Yeah. I'm just glad I'm not helpless anymore.
I got you, buddy.
That's how I feel. We're gonna make it so we never do ever again.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And as you guys conclude the conversation, you're free to join Emeraldi as you guys wish, but I am going to switch over to Emeraldi. As you reach the suite door, the door to the suite of your mother's room, it flies open, nearly hitting you as you kind of jump back a little bit. Hold on, guys. Sorry.
It's funny that you mentioned Banner, that about lack of control and feeling powerless, because I recently changed Dawn's ideal into something somewhat related to that because of some of the things she'd experienced. Something. Her ideal used to be something along the lines of helping people who were in need, but it's taken a far more, a bit of a more self-centered turn after she's seen the reality of the world.
It's interesting. I actually should look through my personality things that I filled in the 4 traits.
I've been updating them as I've gone. The only one that stayed the same is her bond.
Yeah, well, Banner's bond definitely hasn't changed.
But her flaw and ideal have both changed by now.
Banner's such a complicated mix of emotions today.
Oh.
On the other hand, Donna's pretty simple. If the world is divided into two things that are good for her and things that are bad for her. Those things are right and wrong.
I'm gonna start making my list of all the things I think we should buy in preparation.
We should hire as many mercenaries as our gold will get us and just lead an army. And then we can use that army of mercenaries to raid merchant caravans to get more gold to hire more mercenaries.
I'm kind of hoping that with talks with animals and animal handling, I can recruit at least 1 or 2 wolves from the army or something. That would be pretty sweet.
So
I like the idea of General Don.
I apologize. I'm going to have to do a little multitasking here, so bear with me. Emeraldi, as you, the door opens, a small dwarven boy comes rushing out, scroll in hand, and through the doorway you see your mother, now looking a lot better in a very richly made dwarven dress of blue and with silver trimming, and she seems to be busily writing on a parchment as a platter of fruit and various cheeses next to her. She pauses a moment, sits down the quill, and picks up a half-eaten apple as she takes another bite, sets it down. And you can tell that she's been working. She looks much calmer now. She still looks scarred. She's got a couple of scars on her face, down on the left cheek that you never noticed the previous day. And she looks up. She goes, Emeraldi, please come in. I've been
Good morning,
waiting
Mother. Who was that young lad that just came in? He bore a scroll.
Just one of several messengers. I've been sending messages out to wherever the Hammerstrike clan is. I've been told that several of them have been, well, our clan has been dispersed among the lands, and I wish to bring them all together again in short order. We are going to rebuild Mithril Point. And I have an audience later today with King Bladebeard, but... And then she pauses, sits down her quill, and sighs. She says, Emeraldi, please take a seat and close the door.
Emeraldi closes the door, sits next to his mother. What's going on, Mother?
Well, it's going to take me some time to sort out all that has happened. And both you and your uncle present a political difficulty that I can't quite deal with right now. Now I know that you have your heart set upon rebuilding the brewery, and that will happen. But you must understand that it will not be with you at its head. At least, not for the moment. I've received certain messages already from the king, and thus the reason why I am going to have an audience with him later. It may be a little bit more difficult than anticipated to take him in hand, but
Mother, will you want me to attend with you to meet the king?
Sadly, no, son. For now, it would be simpler if you weren't seen at all. There are too many... I've heard your explanation of events following the destruction of the brewery. But there are legitimate questions as to how things transpired and why. I understand your reasons for not coming back.
About cousin Ethlic.
Your cousin Ethlic, yes, your uncle, and yourself. You all should have come back to Earthhome. Regardless of what happened, you all knew this. I understand there may be extenuating circumstances, but at the end of the day, there are questions that must be answered, and accountability must be taken. And I am not quite prepared to answer those questions. I am more concerned with regathering what remains of our noble clan, rebuilding our holdings, and that is going to be a political wrestling match enough. And I don't want difficult questions to confuse my goals or the goals of the Hammer Strike clan. I hope you understand.
I do. I just didn't think coming home I'd be facing exile once again.
Not exile. It's a delay. I need a delay. And you, though you are my son, are still a piece on the chessboard. And I need you to not be here. I need you to be inaccessible to the king and to those cronies that he's gathered around him, because you never came back to Earthhome. I know Darren Shieldbash, but Earthhome was closer than any help that you had found in any other location. And that is the simple truth of the matter. If you would have told me that you were merely afraid or so distraught that you couldn't think clearly, then yes, perhaps that would have been an acceptable excuse. But that was not your excuse. And I must be honest with what you told me.
There was no fear, there was no cowardice, Mother. I felt the calling of Baranar when I helped Darren Shieldbash and helped him with his injuries. And we even chased it after the trolls. And I felt the calling so strongly, and perhaps he was just a very charismatic paladin, I don't know.
Well,
that's why I left. I don't know, I guess I just fell in love with Baranar and wanted to serve her. And family became second.
And yet your hearth was here. Look, I understand that passion has always ruled your courage. But in this case, it was an error in judgment. And it will continue to be a thorn in my side for quite some time. And until we are ready to address these issues, I prefer that you...
Emeraldy starts to growl with anger. Mother, you know how much weapons training I had when I was younger then. I've increased in so much skill now. What really could I have done? What weapon could I have really wielded against these trolls? Now I'm much more capable, with Baranar's blessing. That's how we were able to free you.
It is not my questions, nor my criticisms that you have to answer, Emeraldy. Look
You know,
look at my face.
part
Do
of
you see anger? Do you see frustration? Do you see disappointment? No. But you have put me in a difficult position. Inadvertently, yes, but that does not change the facts.
what am I to do with Father's maul? This weapon has been a burden to our family, as much as a strange blessing. Surely, if I went to the priests and the Mordan Saman, I'd be able to get this weapon perhaps more in a controlled manner, but because of its magic upon it, it would make it difficult for me to be around anyone in the midst of combat.
Well, that is certainly something that you can explore. I discouraged your father from accepting that thing.
Who did he accept it from? Who made this?
Honestly, I don't entirely understand or know the history behind it. I do know your great-great-grandfather gained this item. I do not know how and under what means. It still to this day remains under a cloud of suspicion and mystery, to be quite honest. He always used to say that the weapon held the key to something far greater than you could imagine, and that was it. He never really explained, and he would often get this faraway look when asked about it from friends, family, and he would say, well, someday I'll chase it down, I'll discover, I'll figure it out. He never did, of course. And his predecessors, or his successors, excuse me, never were that interested in finding out what he meant. And he never told me, of course, and, well, information is sketchy at best.
Well, I guess I'll be back on the road with my friends, the Protectors. Do you advise me to go to the Morden Salmon and see if they can relieve me of this curse of this weapon?
That would probably be your best bet.
Even if I were to get noticed by someone? I'm thinking perhaps I should at least take off my armor and maybe disguise myself.
Well, I did not say you had to leave now. Just, you will be absent at the audience with the king, and politely decline any invitations from any other noble houses, clans. I'm not kicking you out, I'm not pushing you out the door, just don't tarry over long.
I got it. What time of the day is your audience, Mother?
This evening, as a matter of fact.
All right. I'll see if my friends... did great-grandfather leave any journals about this weapon? It is curiosity?
Well, there was a journal, I think, but it was at the brewery. I don't know whether or not it survived.
Well, the brewery, I guess, would be on the way north. So my companion, one of my companions, has someplace he needs to go. I believe it's to the north, and we might be able to make a jaunt out to Mithril Point, or at least what remains of it.
Well, yes. Trust me, Emerald, we'll be okay.
Here, Mother. Emerald gives her a rather large pile of platinum. Would this help out getting everything started?
She markedly kind of clears her throat, and she looks a little surprised. She goes, being a paladin pays well, it seems.
I've been holding it just for this occasion. And the rest will go for other things, for our group and for Baranar's greater working. But this should be enough, at least to start, to get our family back on its feet.
Well, that will definitely go a long way towards that. I know that before we're able to rebuild the brewery, we must build Mithril Point, and that may take some doing. As you well know, it was our supply depot, in a matter of speaking.
Mother, I also co-own a mine in the north with the human bard Velis. There's a lot of steel on that hill.
Well,
Good steel.
I think those supplies will come in quite handy. I do apologize, Emeraldy. I don't mean to be abrupt, but there are things that I must do today before the audience with the king. I must have at least 2 new dresses made, and some more accepting accommodations. The suite is well enough as suites go, but I must look up your uncle and take him in hand as well.
Well, I think I'm going to have my friends look at this weapon and see if they can pick any details, and we need to go take care of this curse right away. I love you, Mother, and perhaps I'll see you before for an early dinner before you see the king.
I love you too, Emeraldy. Be safe. Write often.
Yes, Mother. Baranar bless you. Emeraldy kind of bows slightly and walks backward out of the room. Closes the door behind him. Walks down, gets the gang. All right. I need some help finding some more information about this mall. Velis, I know you casted a spell on it to help understand the curse, but I need to understand who made this weapon. Maybe some lore or history behind its maker's mark or decoration. There's not too many races on Toril that work with Mithril other than dwarf, but sometimes elves do. What Emeraldy, still holding on to it, lays it on the table in front of you, Velis.
I walk over beside Velis and take a look at it as well.
Oh, thank you, Don. Perhaps your people had a hand in this.
I don't know. The elves of the High Forest have a hand in many things, and well, I know one or two things about magic.
Lycan walks over too.
Everyone staring blankly at the mall. No, just kidding. Everyone taking a look at the mall. Go ahead and make an Arcana check.
Didn't I already identify them all?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just asking everyone to look, see if there's any markings on it, or like a maker's mark, or any cultural markings on it to give a clue where it originally came from before it came into the Hammerstrike clan.
Fair enough.
Maybe there's some sort of spell I could cast to discern what you're looking for. I feel a little... I hold my hand out and I concentrate really hard on trying to determine the origin of this mace.
Not another Featherbeard. Not another Featherbeard. Not another Featherbeard.
Featherbeard.
All right.
Can't you see something right there, Beetle? I point to a completely nondescript section of the maze.
Make a Arcana check.
Okay. As I'm doing this, I grab Beetle's arm and I point at the point I'm looking at.
All right.
Don't you see it? There's a little blue marking or wavy line there.
And you're actually pointing at like right at the end of the handle, and as you do that, Beetle, you actually do see something. It has nothing to do with the blue mark or squiggly line, but you see like this little. It's almost at first it looks like an end cap, but then there's an opening around as if it was something that was screwed in.
Huh.
You see it?
Not exactly, but here, let me look at this. And then, isn't it actually like a part that screws out?
Emeraldy's hands on it and orients the handle towards Beetle.
All right, and as you
Like, is it a little compartment?
Yeah, as you further kind of look at it, you twist at the end, and it does, after kind of really reefing on it, it does kind of come out and start unscrewing. The first is like really hard because it's not been unscrewed in a very long time. And finally, after about a minute and a half of doing that, because it's on there really tight, it pops out. The metal haft of the maul seems to be hollow at its end. Emeraldy, as you look in, you see a really old-looking piece of parchment rolled up and kind of stuffed in there.
Emeraldy carefully grabs it while still holding the maul in his other hand.
Please be a treasure map. Please be a treasure
While
map.
still holding Beetle's arm, Dawn's still looking at someplace now just in the air. She goes, I feel like I can just reach out and... I reach out. Suddenly, she feels the normal, at this point, surge of magic as she casts Dimension Door for the first time. As still holding on to Beetle. And I am going to teleport 60 feet straight up from wherever I am right now.
Okay.
I'm on the first floor of a tavern, right?
Yeah. So
And Beetle's coming with me.
Beetle's going, please be a map. Please be a treasure map.
Please be a map. Please be a
And
treasure
all of a
map.
sudden, Beetle, you are yanked backwards through this shining door light, and you find yourself suddenly in the clear blue air, and you feel this falling sensation. You look down, both you and Dawn are just kind of hurtling down towards the roof of the inn, as you guys...
I'm just like, huh?
What did you do?
I don't know.
and just as you have that quick back and forth, you both land on the roof, boom, and take 15 points of falling damage.
Can I make an acrobatics check to try
Yeah, can I as well?
minimize it?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Beetle, you managed to half the damage down to 7 points. Dawn, you weren't quite so graceful as you kind of tuck in your legs to try and start to land softly, and what actually happens is you actually do a cannonball right on the roof with a loud boom.
Is it a sloped roof? Do I sound like rolling down the side?
and now you're just like tumbling down.
I'm like scrabbling at the roof tiles, trying to. I rip out my short sword and I stab it into the roof to stop myself from sliding down.
Go ahead and make another make an athletics check as you're just like trying to brute force stab it into the.
I'm gonna reflexively harness magic and use Tides of Chaos to give myself advantage on this. A 7.
All right.
7. Turns out wood is hard to stab with a sword.
Yeah, the sword kind of thunk, and just all it does is it scrapes this long gouge down the wood shingles as it goes.
I'm just damaging more and more of this thing.
And you're scrabbling, Beetle. You see this happening, and the last thing you see before she falls down off the roof to take another 7 points of damage is Dawn's like stricken face. and then it just appears over the side of the eaves of the roof, and you hear a dull thump.
Oh my god, are you alive? And I start like sliding down the side of the building.
You just hear, ow, come from somewhere down below. As everyone else in the tavern is looking at suddenly the empty space where Dawn and Beetle are, they probably hear a loud thud from the roof.
Beetle like hardcores down the building and gets right in your face, and she's like, "Are you alive? Are you okay? Don't die."
Lycum gets up slowly and walks out the door as he hears the noise outside. looks up and sees the scrape, and sees it. Well, at least I'm not the only one that has to pay for repairs on the building. And he walks back inside.
And with that, guys, I gotta take like a 15-minute break. Something has come up that needs my attention. So if anybody wants to grab snacks, food, restroom, please do so. I'll be back at 11 p.m. Eastern.
Can we do mundane shopping in town?
Yeah, that's...
Can we talk to each other in character?
Yeah, you can absolutely do any of that. I just won't be in attendance. General stuff, like anything in the PHB in terms of gear and stuff, is at PHB prices. If you want potions and stuff... we'll have to work through that later. If you want to, I'm assuming that you guys want to explore Eartheart a little bit, and that's kind of what I want to come back to. So I will be back as soon as I can. I just have to do this.
Brian, I gotta head out. I'm gonna head take off. So good night, y'all.
Okay.
Good night, Jeff. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got about a half hour on my end, so I'll be able to stay for a little bit.
All right.
After
Well,
Brian gets back.
either way, we have a hard stop at 11:30 p.m. Eastern, which is just about 45 minutes. So I apologize, but I still got to get paid at the end of the day. So
I hear you.
Nothing to apologize for, my friend.
Need to go to bed early on my end. Did get better.
Yeah.
Still
How are you
sick.
doing, Noah?
Missed Beetle getting polymorphed into an ostrich by Velas. That just
Literally
happened like
just
5
happened,
seconds ago.
so you can do whatever you want with that.
So now Beetle is
I
an
missed it
ostrich.
completely. So there's not much narration that I could be able to tell other than are you guys back inside the inn? What's going on?
We're just
No,
hanging out
I'm
in the
outside
tavern,
right
I
now.
thought.
I'm
We're
hanging out
wandering
outside
If
the
I'm an
tavern.
ostrich, I'm guessing I'm outside.
Yes.
Because I think they would have kicked me out by now.
All right.
Just a guess.
I would have paid to
It was
see
at
that.
the
Why is
end
my
of our
armor
shopping
class
trip
3?
for mundane items.
Oh, that's
I
right.
also-
We were shopping
Yeah,
for mundane
We're
items. I
talking
forgot.
about shopping. I'm making out a list of how much everything costs at book price. Oh, Brian, I need you to price out 20 yards of canvas for me.
20 yards of canvas.
Trust me, it'll come in handy.
The things that you guys think of to buy sometimes. You're like, oh, I want a discombobulator, and it's mithril. Like, yeah,
I
right.
want to buy
A price for that.
100 I want to buy 150 candles. No, I'm kidding. That's
What does Emeraldy find in the script of the haft of them all?
Oh yeah, we
Like,
recovered.
Andrew got left
Yeah.
hanging with the.
Please be a treasure map. Please be a treasure map. Boom.
Suddenly, Dawn explodes and derails the narration again.
Emeraldy, what you find is
I just want you to know, my life is blessed for having all you crazy shits in it.
Your life is definitely something.
You see almost a piece of parchment. It almost looks like the edges are torn on one side and slightly burnt. What you can read, it's in Dorvish, an ancient dialect actually of Dorvish, and it says simply this: in thy hour of greatest need, find the silver one to point the way. East, ever east, the sword of dragons will be thy light.
What? Dragons?
Emeraldy reads this to Velis.
Oh. East.
How
East.
confusing.
That sounds so amazing. After we finish with, saving Italia and everything, we should definitely head east and see what's that way.
It is a treasure map. I told you guys.
Don't forget, we have the ruins of an ancient city to delve into as well. I'm itching to head over there.
Oh, we will.
Emeraldy stuffs the paper back in the haft and puts the cap back on. Well, I need to go get rid of this curse. Hey, where'd the other two go? I heard this big pop in my ears. Then it's like they disappeared.
They're outside, Emeraldy, and I take him outside and meet up with everybody.
That's right. I wasn't there for this.
Emeraldy tells him what he's doing. He's going to try to get rid of the curse and go to the Morden Simon, go talk with Glenda. Because he wants to show her the Baranar book and his ancient dwarf plate armor and see what she thinks as well.
You guys are able to, within 10-15 minutes, you step back into the central building of the Morden Salmon with the black marble floors. And again, you're kind of struck by awe of the place. Taking it in perhaps in more detail than you did before, as you see, the 4 complex chandeliers made of blacksmith tongs welded together to resemble iron wagon wheels. To the left and right, of course, along the walls stand the altars dedicated to the gods of the Dwarven Pantheon. A fine azure carpet bisects the room, creating a path leading to the dais at the back of the central chamber, where stands the largest of altars dedicated to Morden himself. Behind that altar, standing the huge statue of the bearded god, his hammer upraised, with the world held at steady by blacksmith tongs as it rests on the world forge. Velis, what you find particularly interesting, and never really had a chance to look at it, is a mural that behind the statue that stretches from left to right, top to bottom, which tells the tale, as best as you can tell, tells a tale of the forging the world under the quiet guidance of an indecipherable being of light hovering in the background, a being which Emeraldy, is believed to have been none other than Ao himself, the father of all gods. The mural continues actually along the walls to the left and right, obscured, of course, by the altars of the other Dwarven gods, and it tells other stories commonly believed by adherents of the Dwarven faith.
Emerald is going to go straight to the priestess of Baranar and talk to her about this problem.
Okay. Was it Glenda or Gruna that you're looking for?
The one I spoke before, Glenda.
Okay. So you do find her. She's there, as she is almost every day. As a matter of fact, she's somewhat of a fixture. You remember as a child coming to the Morden Salmon and seeing Glenda there on almost every day that you came. It was just something that it was a fixture in your life, a pillar, as it were. And as she kind of looks at you as you approach, she looks a little confused. She goes, Emeraldy, how are you? I didn't expect to see you so soon.
Well, I'm sure you'll hear the news soon, but prying ears and all. I have a problem of a most intimate nature.
Well, there is an herb for that.
No. I'm talking about curses.
Oh dear, I am so sorry. Uh, what kind of curse? I mean, what's going on?
Emeraldy relays the story of his great grandfather receiving this mall and the history with the grandfather and his father and how his uncle gave him this mall, and he doesn't tell her about the parchment in the inside of the handle. And then he invites Velas to talk about what he discovered when he did his detect magic or identify magic.
Okay. And after a moment, she nods and says, "Well, I believe that I can help you. Uh, come here." And she takes you over to the altar. The altar is actually set up on a small platform of about 6 feet in width and about 4 feet in depth. And there's a couple of steps that go up to it. And she motions you over. There's a cushion there for you to kneel on. She motions you to go ahead and kneel.
Emeraldy does so.
On top of the altar, you see a gold-plated bowl, and within the bowl she places what looks to be a pinch of ash that she takes out of her a component pouch that was swinging at her waist, and then she kneels beside you and places a friendly arm around you and bows her head and simply, without further ado, no fancy ritual, no complicated set of motions, she just simply begins to pray. Matter of fact, a very heartwarming and touching prayer as she begins to pray to Beranar, seeking wisdom, seeking blessing. And as she does so, you actually, the rest of you, as you are looking on, see kind of this golden light suffuse her. And this kind of a golden aura suffuse her. And everyone around in the Morden Salmon pauses in their discussion. You see a gruff-looking, white-bearded priest of Morden up towards the back, or back towards the back of the room, even pause in his deliberations with a couple of other priests as he looks on, and he gets this soft smile on his face. And then she stands up, walks around the cushioned cushion there, and then places both hands on your forehead, throws her head back, and she begins to pray something else. This prayer is a lot different in tone and in strength, and as you all watch on in Emeraldy, you actually feel at this point the actual presence of Beranar nearby, almost like she descended from on high. And you feel this very strange kind of wrestling match going on between two forces within you. The insistence and the strength of Glenda's voice rises an octave or two as her prayers become more insistent, more not demanding but commanding. And you almost feel this tearing sensation. Matter of fact, throughout your entire body, you feel as if your flesh is being torn, literally torn. And you can't help but throw your head back, and you begin to just scream. your screams echoing throughout the temple. And this goes on for a full 30 seconds, but it feels like an eternity. And then, just as quickly as the pain comes, it subsides, leaving you with nothing but that feeling of warmth. You hear a dull thunk as the head of your maul lands on the floor, no longer being held by any compulsion to keep it close by or even in your hand. I want you to make a religion check, followed by an arcana check. Actually, yeah. All right. You're able to sense that, yes, the curse has been lifted. You feel a new strength in you, something that you hadn't had before, perhaps. A little bit of a stoic endurance infuse you for the next for the next 2 days. All of your saving throws while in combat is in you have advantage on them.
Sweet. Is Emerald able to let go of the handle of the maul?
Yeah. Actually,
or did the maul fall apart, is what you're saying? The maul fell out of my hands or it fell apart?
No, it just, you opened your hand and it slid down. It's now laying on the ground. As you're looking at it, you are able to sense the fact that that curse is no longer there. Though it's not quite what it was before. You're not really sure what the difference is, but you're able to kind of get the idea that you aren't going to get the benefits of the temporary hit point boost that you did before, mechanically speaking. And that's simply because you did not make the skill check for removing the curse. So basically what happened, mechanically speaking, is, number one, the curse that was on you and on the weapon at this point is gone. Number two, it's still a +1 weapon. But number three, the action that you could take to get the temporary hit points, that enchantment is now gone. And you no longer have to be attuned to it, though. So essentially, functionally, it's just a +1 weapon right now. +1. So, still a cool weapon, just not quite as useful as it was before.
A little less dangerous for your friends, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot less dangerous for your friends.
Glenda,
and your paladin oath.
Glenda's voice trails off, and she looks a little tired. A bead of sweat trickles down her brow, and she says, "Well, I think that's done." Of course,
Emeraldy
donation
slips her a platinum for the church and for what you did.
Well, the church thanks you. And she bows politely. Don't be picking up any cursed things anymore. This one was particularly nasty.
You're telling me it's hard to when it's a gift from your family, handed down the generations.
Well, not everybody understands the nature of these things. I don't think it was a malicious act. I believe it was probably out of love and, of course, tradition that this was done. But, well, you know the nature of these things.
Well, I thank you. I think I'm feeling pretty good. Look to my group mates, you all wanted to spend some money. We have less to sell here.
Emeraldy, by the way, what happened? What's your mother up to? I don't think you ever told us. What is the situation here with you?
Emeraldy kind of asked everyone to come in. We will be moving on.
Is everything
I'll
okay?
be helping you out now, Banner.
Oh, am I still an ostrich?
I doubt we got into the temple with you as an ostrich.
Probably not.
No, you're not. How long does that spell last anyway?
An hour.
It's concentrated
Well, I
on.
mean, yeah, but you can voluntarily drop it though, right?
Yeah.
He can. I can't.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I'm assuming, Bellis, at some point you did that.
I tried to ride her.
I would have let you,
Ostrich,
and then
right.
I would have run around really fast and tried to knock you off.
It's just like the Swiss Family Robinson movie.
That's what I was thinking. I love that movie.
Me too.
All
All right.
So, something. It sounds like that's not. I mean, I'm glad you're coming to help me, but it doesn't sound like everything's okay.
You're very perceptive, my friend. Basically, as my mother puts it, most frankly, when one makes a choice other than the most direct given order to a warrior, there's always a price that has to be paid. And the price that I paid going with Darren Shieldbash is that my homecoming is going to be short and sweet. I'm sure as a warrior you understand this very much. Basically, being told as if I've disobeyed a direct order or that I am a coward because I did not return to Eartheart after the village was destroyed.
Your mother can't possibly think that.
No. But those who hold sway here do, and do not forget.
That makes more sense. Well, she seems incredibly competent, your mom. Like, I mean, most people after going through the things that she went through might be scarred for life on the inside in a way that they just couldn't function anymore. And one day after taking her out of what we took her into, or even like last night, I haven't seen her today, but even last night, like she I don't think you have to worry about your mom too much. I think she's going to be just fine. I'm not saying that what she went through wasn't horrible or that it won't take her time to deal with, but I think she's going to be just fine. And I think she will have things here very well in hand. And by the time you come back home, it'll be a proper homecoming, is what I'd guess.
Emeraldy looks at Beetle. You are also very perceptive. As my mother is a princess.
What? I'm
Well,
sorry. I think I have something in my ears, and she like kind of digs. I'm sorry. Did you say your mother's a?
Remember when she said something about training the king?
Yeah.
There's only one way that you would train the king is if you're family or fellow royalty.
Wait,
You're
so is
royalty?
Bladebeard her brother?
Cousin?
Yes,
Aunt.
cousins to be more accurate.
So that means that are you a prince or a duke or what the hell are you?
I am a son of a brewer.
And a princess.
Well, more
Sounds
like
like
a
a-
trait.
That sounds like quite the tale. The brewer and the princess. I feel like I've read that somewhere before.
If not, then Bellis, you're gonna have to write that one because we all want to read it now. Wow.
Can So, I don't
I mean,
think
you could tell how she handled herself with a royal regal and how she talked with everyone. And that's
Yeah.
why I gave her such mannered deference to her status.
Huh. You're royalty. That's so weird.
Ah, well, I'd
Well-
rather brew beer.
I mean, it's
I can't blame you. Running a country's got to be terrible. Like, really, really awful.
Why do you think Ethlic was so jealous? And so,
Speaking of that,
First-
Emeraldi, I don't think you're a coward, but why did you not come back?
so I explained to my mother, I just felt the passion of Baranar and fell in love with her teachings, and off I went. But so much of that time I don't remember. It's like a big hole in my memory. I don't remember. I don't
Did you
remember why I made the choice I did, but I did, and here I am.
Did you suffer a head injury when in the battle at the brewery?
Well, I was thinking about it last night, and I was thinking, I came upon Darren Shieldbash, and everyone in the village was dead. I mean, I don't know what happened. Maybe I got scared. I thought the base of this troll army was so large that any attempt to go to Eartheart would be futile because they were being invaded by a massive troll army. I mean, they destroyed the brewery, they destroyed a village. I mean, who knew what they could do? I don't know. I prayed about it, asking Baranar what happened.
How old were you when this happened?
54.
How old are you now?
58, and we had 2 years of travel there, and then 2 years of travel back, where we are
God,
today.
you're so old. I mean, not as
Well-
old as Lycum, but no one's as old as Lycum.
Well, I'm considered rather young for a dwarf, almost of marrying age.
Well, listen. When all that stuff happened to my parents, there were a lot of things I could have done. There were friends of theirs I could have gone to and could have run to, but I was so afraid that I couldn't trust anyone because of the person I saw standing over them was someone I thought I trusted almost as much as I trusted them, that all I could do was just get out of there and go try to find somewhere safe and hide until I was old enough to protect myself. So
I mean, what you say made sense. I mean, I even told my mother this morning. I'm like, Mother, with anger, at that age, I knew some basic weapon techniques and how to defend myself, but I was no warrior. I was a brewer's son. I loved harvesting hops and growing vegetables and drinking beer and thinking of the next brew. And I wasn't a warrior. I didn't think of how much I could really add to some fighting against a massive troll army. I mean, a 54-year-old dwarf is nothing. I mean, that's a young dwarf. I mean, what could I possibly done? Maybe it was the rationale I had to stick with Darren, but as far as some sort of a malicious choice, or
I don't think
know.
I don't. Look, the people who think that don't know you. I've traveled with you for many months, and you're one of the bravest, weirdest people I've ever known. And
I'm not sure what that means. The weird part. I'm dwarf.
I know, but I mean, look at me. Do you think I would hang out with someone who wasn't weird? I mean, anyway, that's neither here nor there. What
You
I'm
hang out
saying
with
is,
me.
point in case. Case in point. Case in point.
Well,
I don't
You know what
think
I
I'm weird at
The
all,
only-
Banner says, with the,
the
eye
point,
patch
the point I'm trying
dangling
to
off
make
his...
is, Emeraldi, you don't ever have to justify to me what you decided to do that you needed to do for yourself in that moment. Your whole world was destroyed. I've been there, and I I can't say I know exactly what you went through, but having gone through something similar in my life, like you don't have to explain to me what you did or why you did it.
No, thank you. Maybe that's just it. You know, it was the day of tragedy and the day that whatever innocence I had as a young dwarf was clawed away, literally. And that has an effect on a person's memory and mind.
Yeah,
So-
it does.
What do you guys wish to do then? We've got Eartheart at our feet.
Shopping and
Emeraldy
exploring.
wants to.
I have to admit, I want you. I'm hoping you guys go to certain areas because I got some cool stuff written.
Emeraldy wants to go to the Mithril Anvil Forge.
That sounds great.
Anvil
Beetle
Forge.
wants to go there too.
That sounds great. Actually, I was meaning to tell you guys one thing we need to think about as we resupply. I tried to say this before, but I feel like we're going to be involved in some politics that make Councilwoman Velis and everything look like herding cattle. So we might want to get some nicer finery for appearing before the Empress. Just a thought.
Wait, the Empress?
Yeah, you were there. Talia told me I had to warn the Empress. I think I'm going to have to.
I didn't get a chance to ask you. The Empress of the Feywild?
Well, the Sealy card part of it.
That's so cool.
Banner, would my dwarf plate armor be enough finery and dress?
No, you need nicer, like a new tabard,
Well-
like a new fancy one.
Whatever
Go over your
happens,
armor.
I think only 3 of us. If this happens, if I have to warn the Empress and I have to do this, if this is part of getting Talia back, only 3 people. I can only ever take 3 people to meet me anyway. But I'm just saying, I think we're going to need to look presentable while we're there. If we get that far.
Okay, so we get some nice clothes while we're here.
So you're talking about clothes that my mother would wear? Like all the royal...
That's
Get
basically
up
what
stuff.
I'm saying. The stuff you and I would never wear.
The stuff that
Yeah,
I like to
exactly.
wear when I perform.
Yeah, we need some fancy
Oh.
pants, like Velis.
Fancy pants.
Would that look good on a
That's a
dwarf?
crossover. Fancy
Emeraldy's
pants is a
pondering
crossover.
this.
In Emeraldy, you do know one of the favorite places that your mother likes to go is a place called Ferris Fancy Rags, which is a little bit of a satirical name for a pretty extravagant dwarf named Ferris who enjoys putting on airs and is decidedly not dwarf-like.
Emeraldy mentions this to the group. Well, that would be a good place to go.
But let's go.
You
to
mentioned
let's
you
go to
mentioned the
Black-
Mithril Forge.
Let's go to the forge first. I just wanted to mention that we need to maybe have that in our back pocket in case we can't just fight our way to Anwell and whatever the hell else is over there.
The second that Emeraldy mentions a place called the Mithril Forge, Beetle just grabs his arm and tugs him, and she's like, "Let's go there now."
Okay. I think it's in the outer...
Actually, the Mithril Anvil Forge, you would know, is actually let me double check. In a place that, because this is a place that no non-dwarves go. This is actually in the city, in a place called the Underworks, that is actually a part of the Shelf. Now the Shelf is like almost like an undercity.
Yeah, Emeraldy didn't mention this at all to them because normally you don't tell Emeraldy's not sure whether he could even get them over there, whether he could even allow them to go there.
Well, you're all in the city, and you are a paladin, if nothing else, and a noble at that. Albeit
And
on the
Beetle
outs
has a
with the
really
king.
cool mechanical spider who they're gonna want to look at.
All right. Well, Emeraldy leads the way, and anybody who questions him, he just tells him he's a paladin.
All right. And as you travel through various streets, you do get a couple of questioning looks, and one guard opens his mouth to say something, but then closes it as he catches your holy symbol on your helmet. And you actually take the streets that loop around the opulent temple of the Morden Salmon. You find yourselves at one of two elevators, descending down to the next level of the city that's built into the side of the Great Rift. As you all descend the side, excuse me, let me try that one again. As you descend, the side of the iron-caged elevator is open to the air, and allows you all to look down onto the next level of the city that is simply called the Shelf. It's a flat area that's actually cut deep within the cliff, and it extends out beyond the edge of the cliffs above, so it literally is a kind of shelf. You see a multitude of low, blocky residential abodes cut into the cliff wall and into the shelf itself, some of which seems to be simple 1 or 2 room construction, while others look to have many levels and rooms, most likely belonging to a larger dwarven clan, though probably none noble. Threading through them all, the streets impose a kind of organization that you have come to expect of dwarves, creating residential zones and neighborhoods, also in orderly fashion. Great stone support pillars are left untouched, save for the careful attentions of talented sculptors that carved each pillar into the form of a kneeling dwarven warrior, both male and female, each facing either to one side of the shelf or the other. Along each side of the shelf, you see great statues looking to be holding up the ceiling above from collapsing. Each statue is carefully and skillfully formed into the likeness of Gorm Golthin, the god of vigilance, in memory of his sacrifice during Morden's war, the eyes of which glow softly in magical light. Each statue created, informed by almost a seamless mithril. Statues that quietly reflect the light of bright braziers, giant braziers, tended daily by dutiful dwarves from the priesthood. Taking this all in, you all suddenly realize that you are seeing the first true glimpse of Eartheart's wealth, and that the city's depth far exceeds its surface area. Set apart from the cliff on the shelf of the next level of the city is a building with a colonnaded front entrance. Cut granite streets pass by either side of the building, leading out through the steel gates of the back wall of the city. Still, other streets run parallel to the line guard barracks, leading towards smaller streets that then lose themselves among the aforementioned neighborhoods. As the elevator comes to a rest, Emeraldy leads you unerringly towards the back of the shelf, through various streets and getting, again, curious looks of this motley crew, this strange band of adventurers coming through where no non-dwarf or very few non-dwarves have gone before. And the buildings in the residential areas give way to shops, which give way to a huge open area of nothing. It's almost reminiscent, Beetle, of Mithril Hall in that it's a large open area and it's full of forges and shops. Along the edge are various shops that declare themselves to be metalsmiths, weaponsmiths, armorsmiths, tinkers, and a few others. At the far end of this area and surrounded by molten steel, a pool of molten steel, is another huge statue, much larger than the one in Morden Salmon of Morden himself. As great belts of molten steel comes down and dips or pours the molten steel in there, and you see many of the dwarves running up to this pool and pulling back this molten steel to cast into their own works. And as the belt kind of does its thing and revolves almost endlessly, it actually turns a gear, and you see Mordin's hammer slowly raise and then come down to hammer with sparks that flies out throughout the surface of this room as he goes through the act of forging the world. Something that is a little bit of a moment of pride for all dwarves in Eartheart. It's one of their finest and most enduring works. What do you do?
That is so cool.
Enter in and see what we could buy.
All right.
Beetle's eyes are this big.
All right. So you do find the Mithril Anvil Forge. It's a shop that is inset from other shops a little bit. And it has a simple silver-looking anvil that is out on hanging from a couple of very thick iron chains rather than a wooden shingle, because Emerald, as you know, wood is at a premium on the Shar. Out in front of it, you see a flame-haired dwarf, a woman, just hammering away, working on the forge. She seems to be working on a very intricate piece, a breastplate that is etched with the religious signs of the symbol of Morden right in the centerpiece. And she pauses and for a moment and seems to buff something out, and then she continues hammering. Sparks flying over on her arms. You see bits of burn on her forearms that are bare. Her forearms are really thick, even for a dwarf, as she just kind of pounds away. As you all approach, she looks up, kind of grunts, uses her tongs to toss aside the mithril breastplate with a soft clatter. And she looks up and goes, can I help you?
Hello there. Looking to see your wares, see what you have. But first, I want to show you my dwarf plate armor. It's of a older make.
She walks over to you and she kind of eyes it critically, and she actually taps your pauldron, your shoulder piece there with her really hot tongs, and you to the the hollow sound of thunk thunk thunk. Goes, not bad, not bad. Where did you happen to come across those?
From a old ruin up in the north.
Well, you've up in the north, you don't say. Well, I must admit, fine dwarf, you've impressed me, and I'm not easily impressed.
Oh, look at this too! And Beetle pulls out the ancient dwarven drinking stein that she got there. We found this at the same place. Isn't it great? And Bert kind of like cheeps excitedly next to me.
She looks at you and she goes, well, that's more like it. And she just grabs it from you and takes a swig. She goes, I was working up a sweat. I was wondering how long it would take for you to offer me a drink. Well, I do have a few pieces ready. Some swords, some weaponry, a nice fine shield that was recently completed. But aside from that, most of my work is on commission. Mithril armor is not something that is, well, you don't necessarily manufacture it, if you know what I mean.
Well, perhaps, depending on, we could make a trade. I could trade this armor that I'm wearing and a couple of short swords from a deep sea creature.
A very evil, very powerful deep sea creature.
Well, let's see what you got for your swords.
How much?
Emeraldi asks Banner for the short sword back and hands her the 2 pair.
She eyes it critically and she tests the edges of it, and you can tell like she's not real impressed with it, but it's decent work, you know, as far as non-dwarven work goes. And she goes, well, it's quite different making it out of a chitinous material, but I guess that'll work.
It's a tooth.
A tooth, you say?
From a creature that lives deep in the waters of the ocean.
Did we ever figure out what that thing was, like in game?
I
It
don't
was an
think so.
Aboleth.
Oh, we're talking about something different. Sorry.
Aboleth.
It was the aboleth, but we didn't. I don't think we ever identified it.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think anybody ever did.
I think we failed all of those checks.
Well, she looks your armor over, and she goes, does it include the helmet?
Well, the helmet is a badge of office.
Fair enough.
And Emeraldi mentions, you see the maker's mark on the helmet?
Well, what do you want in exchange?
Well, I certainly would love to don some sort of mithril armor from my home. And I thought maybe, along with these items, and depending on price, we could come to some sort of agreement. Something worthy a paladin of Baron Archer's over.
Well, let me see here. She kind of thinks a moment as the DM frantically looks at something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it won't be magical per se, but it will be lightweight, I assure you, as all mithril is, and it does have its advantages. It's quiet than most armor. Quieter, I should say, than most armor, but
You can make him quiet?
well,
Quieter, Beetle, quieter.
well, let's just say it will rely on his skill alone rather than the impediment of his armor. As far as making the dwarf quieter, well, that's something else entirely. Are
How
you
much
sure?
does such armor run a person?
Well, it isn't cheap, but then again, this armor here, and she again taps this time on Emeraldi's helmeted forehead. Dum, dum, dum. She goes, this armor here is of solid make and quite old, unless I miss my guess. And
The armor's old, yes. The helmet is new.
well, yes, that's what I mean.
Don't you still have the helmet, though?
But my
And
point is, Sir Paladin, you do realize that this armor is actually more finely made than perhaps I can provide you. A normal... Out of character, that's magical armor. Mithril armor is not magical armor. So it's just mundane armor that gives you a good armor class with no disadvantage on stealth checks.
Okay.
So,
I
Yeah.
was hoping maybe
I
it would
mean-
give me an armor class. Because I'm using them all now.
yeah, if it was a commissioned work, I could do that, but a commissioned armor set is, I mean, you're not going to pump that out in a day. You know, this is a month's worth of work.
Yeah, or more.
So, I mean, I'm trying to work with you a little bit, but I just want to make sure that's what you want.
But mithril armor isn't a better armor class, generally speaking. It's just lighter and quieter, right?
Yeah, it's lighter and quieter. It does not impose disadvantage on stealth checks, which in itself is nice.
Yeah.
But the armor that he has now, he can if I remember right, use an action or bonus action, and if something were to knock him out, prone or something, he can use an action or bonus action. I forget which.
Yeah, it's to reduce feet being pushed back.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, there's that.
Okay, because I didn't know that the armor was magical. I just thought it's construction that allowed me to do that as a reaction.
No, it's magical.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure.
forge have in the way of weapons sitting around or anything?
Yeah, that's what Beo's kind of looking for too.
Emerald reconsiders this question. No, I probably should wear this. I think Baranar helped me find it, so. Do you have any belts?
Well, I do have several belts, and she points to a rack. It's actually like this wood. It's a rack, but it's like got a wood dowel that goes across, and looped over the dowel is like a bunch of belts. It's got a lot of like extravagant mithril belt buckles on it.
Rodeo Cowboy Emeraldi.
Emerald,
any insight?
look. Yeah.
Any weapons or?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta look here.
Can Emerald look to see if there's any special bolts there?
Would there be any benefit to having a mithril weapon other than it being physically lighter?
Well,
I'm just wondering if she's good enough to make things that are nicer than just mithril weapons, basically.
Nicer than mithril?
Well, weapons. There's no mithril weapons have no benefit whatsoever, as far as I know.
Well, I mean, give me a sec. I'm gonna look at something.
Yeah, I guess if you're saying like mithril's lighter, then I guess you'd need to tell me what the weight reduction, because I use the PHB for the ball's weight.
Yeah. All right. Let me deal with you, Andrew, first. Going too many different directions at once, and I'm not getting anything done. What? That was weird. That disappeared on me. All right. Of course, it doesn't have the weight. Mithril weapons, functionally speaking, I'm going to count it also as being a silvered weapon.
Okay.
Damage-wise, they're non-magical, but you do get a +1 attack, and they're generally lighter than any weapons in the PHB. As how light they are, if you want that kind of detail, I don't know. I'd have to look.
Okay. I would guess maybe like half weight or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Well, you could maybe put it up in chat or something what you want done with that. What do you want me to roll for these belts?
So for mithril plate, it would run you about 32 pounds instead of 65.
Okay.
Just what exactly are you looking for in a belt? I mean, you see all kinds of designs there. I'm
looking for something special. I've heard that sometimes some belts can have some special powers or abilities.
Oh, I see. Well, in general, you do see the bunch of different designs. You see one that actually looks like, I gotta look at it. It's funny, I added a whole bunch of items and stuff thinking, yeah, they're going to look for this. Yeah, they're going to look for that. You guys are looking for nothing what you're supposed to look for.
Well, I want to look for many other things besides
I want to look
this.
for many things. I'm not going to buy anything here until I know what else there is in town.
All right.
I want a dwarf beard belt. Just kidding.
You want a grog belt?
I don't need one. I'm not Goliath. I can grow a beard. I don't even remember what the belt did besides that. Was it like immunity? to
It's
something?
your constitution is a 19 if it's not already that or higher.
Wait, what?
And yeah, a belt of dwarven kind. You get a constitution of 19. You
Constitution
can-
+2.
Is it only +2?
Yep.
I thought it was
That's
19.
still awesome. That's still
Yeah,
awesome.
You have advantage on like all social checks with dwarves, and you have the beard property.
I could be a dwarf whisperer.
You could
I'm
be the
gonna
you could
look
be the
for
Raldi
that. I
Mister.
want to try and find one.
Didn't it give you stone cutting too?
It might. Let me see. Belt of dwarven kind.
Then they'll call me Banner Dwarf Friend.
Yeah, your constitution increases by 2. You have advantage on charisma and persuasion checks. You gain. Oh no, you have advantage on saving throws against poison and resistance poison damage. You gain dark vision out to a range of 60 feet, and you can speak, read, and write Dwarvish.
Wow.
And the beard thing.
And the
50%
That's really
chance each day of dawn of growing a full beard
That's
overnight.
all neat if you're not a dwarf. That's really good for not being a dwarf, too, because you get all those added perks.
Beetle would steal it from you while you were sleeping because she would want to try to grow a beard and see if she could do it.
Some of the best beards are those grown by the dwarf women.
I know, I always play dwarf women with beards when I play dwarves.
All right. So, as you're looking at the beard, you
Do I
guys,
find
let that
another piece
happen.
of meat stuck in there
guys.
somewhere?
as you guys are looking, or Emeraldy, as you're looking at the belt, you do see one that catches your eye. The reason why it catches your eye is because it's rather gaudy, surprisingly so. It is a mithril belt buckle, but the buckle is shaped like this big dwarven arm that's like flexing. And right in the middle of it, there's this red sapphire or red ruby that's there.
Emeraldy's eyes go right towards it. Oh man.
That's
As-
metal emeraldy.
I have
As
to have
the,
something to impress the ladies.
as you look at it, the smith there, Rebecca by name, catches what you're looking at. She goes, "Ah, you want my belt, do you?" And you kind of look over her. You realize she's not wearing a belt. Her pants are actually held up by a pair of straps, suspenders. And she goes, "Well, that's one that'll cost you."
Well, how about also trade in to lower the price of them 2 short swords?
Yeah, that'll help, no doubt. It'll still run you about 900 gold, but it's a good thing in a pinch. As a bonus action, once per long rest, you can gain 2d10 temporary hit points.
Woo!
For 1 minute.
Emeraldy hands her over the 2 short swords and 900 gold. I think that's
let's
a fair
go.
price.
Oh.
Well then, nice doing business for you. You might have to put another notch in it. You're not quite as big as round as I am. And you look at her, she's like this meaty slab of dwarf. Yeah, she kind of picks it up and tosses it your way. Banner, she sees you and Beetle and the rest of you kind of looking around. She goes, "Well, you gonna buy or you gonna just look at it?"
I pull out my whip and I sharp tongue, and I show her the serrated metal that that is interwoven with the leather, and my good lady, is it at all possible that I could that you might be able to take out this metal and replace it with mithril?
Well, I certainly can do that. Shouldn't be too hard. There's a good tanner not too far away, and he's very practiced at this sort of thing. And she takes it, looks at it critically. She tugs at one of the serrated pieces and then kind of growls as it like bites into her, and she goes, "Oh, nasty one that. Well then, well, 1 minute." And then she heads to the north and just kind of walks right into another shop that's next door. You hear some kind of growls and "I don't care what you're doing, I've got a customer here," and going back and forth. And after a moment you hear this growling, "Fine then, leave it." "I can't leave it, he's out there waiting." "Well, then give it here, woman." And you hear a little bit more bickering, and then this expletive laced shout as he goes, "These damn things, they bite!" And about 5 minutes later, she reemerges with a now naked whip, and she goes, "Well, now I got a thing for you." And then she goes back into her shop, and you hear her rummaging around, and it takes her a bit longer, about 10 minutes, as she you hear kind of this shuffling sound and kind of this metallic whoosh, like she's pulling something out of this bucket or something. And about 10 minutes later, she reemerges, and what you see is, instead of serrated pieces of metal, you see that she has put these mithril caltrops all through your whip. So now it does piercing and slashing damage. Plus, it's considered to be silvered as well. And a bit lighter. I don't know how much. How heavy is a whip? A bit lighter.
Interesting.
Whip.
It's at the bottom.
Yeah. So your whip is now like a really light 1 pound. Now.
Telling me something. Could you, as maybe not quite as easily, but as easily, perhaps
hold a moment, she says. She eyes you, Velis. She goes, "That'll be 250 gold, sir."
I take the whip and I just kind of flick my wrist a couple of times, and the caltrops kind of smack together, and they make a nice clear silver a bell sound. If you've ever like had a silver quarter or a silver coin and dropped it and heard that bell, almost like a bell tolling, almost like jingles, and I sit there and I flick that, snap it a couple of times. I look at her and I go, 250 gold. Well,
it would have been more, but I had the caltrops handy.
I look at her and I go, I hate to purchase something without haggling. So
well,
I
then,
insist that you take at least 300 gold for this. This is amazing.
Well, sir, you won't have any argument from me. And she takes the gold and puts it in her pouch, and she turns to you, Benners. "My apologies, sir. How can I help you?"
I just had this idea. You see, I have these very big weapons, and I pull out my glaive, and I tend to strike with both sides, but you see, this side is very not pointy. I was wondering, perhaps, if you could put a little point on the end here. Maybe make it do a little bit more, give a little more damage to it or something. Also, that metal, it looks like it might be handy should I ever need to kill something that might be particularly nasty.
She looks at your glaive and she kind of looks a little. You really can't decipher what her look is. She's just like, you fight with that thing.
I have an out of character question for you, Banner. That's not the dark elf one, right?
Well, it is, but it's covered. The blade is covered.
That glaber, is that the one that you got from the pit boss?
I've been carrying around the drow one lately.
Okay. You fight with that thing, or do you just swing it about?
I do.
He's pretty good with it.
Yeah,
You wouldn't want to be...
there was this paladin a while back. Not this one, obviously, but I sent his head about 60 feet, maybe 120, across a giant field.
A giant field,
distance gets longer every time you tell the story.
Yes, and they invented a game afterwards. They called it, I think, Headball or something like that.
Yes, well, I prefer something with targets. And she flicks out, she like snaps her hand, and right from her sleeve flies a dagger that lands in her hand almost perfectly, and she just flicks it. It lands in the wood next to you. You're standing by the door jamb. It just lands.
I'm standing by her, and I flip up my wrist and shoot my crossbow right next to her dagger.
Well, now, let me look at that here. And she just kind of roughly takes it from you, not even paying attention to you anymore. She's just like looking at it, goes, you had to bring a drow weapon in here. That's not good, sir. Not good at all. And she doesn't look upset, just irritated or annoyed. Well, I can make some kind of sheath and another glaive. You have a double-bladed glaive then, but I don't know how well it'll work.
Interesting. I mean, perhaps.
Did you just want like a spike on the end so that it's not
nothing
blunt damage?
too dramatic. I don't actually. So that I don't want to throw off the balance, but I was thinking maybe something like dagger sized, or just to give it a little bit more bite on that end. Maybe even something that I could possibly attach to any glaive that I come across.
Well, look, sir. Without a commission, there's only a certain amount of things that I can do. I've got mithril blades here. As you're looking at the glaive, most of you would know that any kind of pole arms or like axes or things, there's a system by which, and I don't know how much you guys actually know about weaponsmithing, but it's actually a sheath that fits over the handle, and then a lot of times the handle is actually, it's wood on the outside and like steel on the inside. So it's got a steel core, and then that sheath is actually has pins driven through it, through the steel core for stability, and so you won't, the head doesn't snap off, and embarrassing things like that when you're in the middle of a fight. So what she's offering essentially is she can provide a sheath that would go at the other end, but you would all know that it takes time to do any kind of custom work. A blade might be able to be done in 24 hours, but something more intricate also would take longer. And this is actually again, out of character. This is reminiscent of the actual length of time it would take for people of the medieval era or the Renaissance era to create very good pieces of work. So she's offering that. You can kind of, she's got daggers there. You can make, she can kind of make something makeshift for you in that manner. But if she does that, I'm going to build into any weapon modification some kind of potential for failure.
Right.
Not
What would-
not to the weapon as a whole, but to any
No, I
kind
get
of
it.
additional feature that
Which
is
totally
added.
makes sense. I just was curious. So how long would a quality version of something like that be? More like a week or something is what you're
Well,
saying?
I mean, if it's
Sounds-
just a simple like dagger type size blade that you want on the end to complement your whatever the I know what I'm thinking, the maneuvers,
feet.
right?
Yeah.
Right. I
Then
get a
it would
bonus
be-
action. I get the reverse end attack, basically. So I'm just looking for anything that might, you know.
Technically, it would be the next day. I would normally say 24 hours, but let's just say the next day to make it.
That's
simpler.
fine with me. I don't think we're leaving tonight.
Okay.
So right away. So I would like to commission her to see about making something that would do that for glaives, where I would get an extra sheath, or is it a permanent attachment then? That's
No,
what I
it
was-
would be a part. It would be an actual modification of the weapon, so it would be a permanent modification, not something that you take on or put off, unless you specifically want to design it that way.
I mean, if I can get something that would pop on and off any glaive on the bottom, that would be kind of cool and handy if she can do that.
All right. So what you're thinking, like a little dagger-sized blade?
Basically,
or
yeah, like something
spike?
that would be like a spike that would do piercing, and like would obviously be silvered if it's mithril. And I don't know if there'd be any damage increase or not, but that sort of thing. But basically adding a different damage type to it, and the possibility of like a silver blade in case I ever would come across something where that would be useful.
All right. So I'll have to get back to you on the final product of that before the next session, or at
Sure.
the next session when you go to pick it up.
Okay.
So, all right, we're almost done, guys. I know we're over. Beetle, is there anything you want real quick?
Not from this place. I want to go look at other places when we resume, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. This is where I'm going to end then tonight. Great shopping trip, great antics, and yeah, you got to see the Undercity. The actually in the place that you're in is called the Underworks. Well, that concludes this episode of this Forgotten Realms D&D campaign. If you have enjoyed these and other episodes, please remember to subscribe to my channel. Hit the like button for this video. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Wraith_kind. That information is down in the description of this video. And we also stream this live on Twitch TV. A link to the channel is down below every other week. Please join us, and until next time, I hope you have a great day.